Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher's Circus, and today we are once more going to watch a tournament best of 3, this time between Daewid and Tongue. So you've already seen Tongue's deck yesterday, we're gonna get into the match real quick, but Daewid has Halo, WD, and 3 Flatron stress teams, so let's see what he decided to bring. And it looks like it's gonna be the Darkest Dungeon literature background with Chef Stress 3 versus the Iron Dog. So this is pretty cool. This is an interesting matchup because Daewid has the Sweater Abomination. He's not going to use it immediately. And Tongue has this very mostly broad heavy defensive stress team here, probably expecting Daewid to bring one of his damage teams. No, absolutely expecting Daewid to bring one of his damage teams. So he's brought full stun resistance, 2 snuffs, 2 pit fighters helms, a bulwark, the Crusader in 2 as well. So this is really just full-on gambling onto the anti-damage. But Daewid has an awesome matchup here because he did not bring damage, he brought a stress team. So Tongue is already just going to have to suffer this horrible fate of fighting this match. So it comes to how Daewid has trinketed as well to see if this is actually as good of a matchup to him as it looks. So Tongue is going for the defensive moves regardless of the matchup because Borkovite is, you know, always useful, Bolster's always useful, but he could still survive for a while. He can definitely still survive for a while with this setup. He still has the Numbing Incense, he still has the Glorious Standard on the Crusader. Fladron's still very hard to kill, and the Reclaim will be handy to some extent. And, you know, the Doggy isn't that easy to kill. And Daewid's Fladron does not have Reign of Sorrows here, because naturally, if you bring this team, you kind of have to bring the Reclaim and not the Reign of Sorrows, because if you bring the Reign of Sorrows and no Reclaim, you just immediately lose the damage team, so it's really not ideal. But yeah, he doesn't bring it, he brings the mouse grave over, so she squeezes a mouse and will just throw the panic darts that way. Also calling her not Stormy today, that's quite funny, And goes for the Doggy, so that Doggy will be getting focused down, mostly because he's definitely a big target here. He's the one that doesn't have anti-stress. He's the one that causes the offense against Daewid's team. And the thing is that even though this matchup looks really quite bad in terms of trinkets, normally this matchup would be relatively fair, but in terms of trinkets, it's definitely Daewid-sided. But one thing that does make a huge difference here is the fact that Daewid doesn't have stress heals, he doesn't have infinite healing, while Tongue has that, and he has a lot of defense, which means that even though Daewid should theoretically be doing a lot better here, if Tongue manages to survive the onslaught with his heals while slowly outputting pressure, he might still be able to just do amazing in this, because Daewid's team will collapse while his team just completely chills. And that might be something that we will be looking to. So Tongue goes for the guard onto that Doggy. The Doggy will now have basically the immunity to that panic dart, so won't be getting hit with it, but the Beast Smile will continue. And of course, a lot of people run the Crusader in 1 and the Flash1 in 2, almost purely so you don't get hit with the Beast Smiles, because Abomination's in like half the teams in the Butcher Circus, and he loves to use that Beast Smile, especially after transforming, but sometimes doesn't even need to use it after transforming, just spams the hell out of it, causes stress, which Flash1 doesn't care about, and causes blight, which is just damage that the Flash1 might even thank the Abomination for in some situations. And the Crusader and the Man at Arms both hate it, so the Beast Smile being spammed here is just going to slowly but surely shred through Tongue's middle 2 characters. So it comes to see whether it will be fast enough before Daewid's team starts crumbling here. Of course, his own Flagrant will try to prevent that. He's already going for the reclaims, and he will have those redeems available, so it will be a long while, very long while, before his team actually does crumble. But that's very interesting. Tongue's Crusader just going for straight up active heals with the Rally to the Flame. He does have the Glorious Standard, so the healing is better, and I definitely agree with the Glorious Standard pick. It is a fantastic trinket, both against the stress and against the damage, and against being pushed. Just awesome trinkets all around, and make his heals go from very... Oh, that's that's a juicy dodge. That's the Snuff Value right there, the counter Snuff Value. It makes his heals go from very small amounts, just like 4, 5, 6, to sometimes critting for like, yeah, freaking 18, 16. They can crit really big, and the least you'll get is a 4, which honestly is perfectly fine, right? So yeah. In terms of how Daewid wants to keep playing this, he decides not to go for the immediate reclaim, just gonna go for a bellow and not the command buff. He's trying to do stress here because he knows that if he does only stress, the Crusader can heal all the stress. If he does only damage, the Crusader can probably try to heal all the damage. Same thing with the Flagell, both of them can do that, but dealing with both at the same time is very hard because Tongue's team is defensive, it is quite good at defense, but it's not an Immortal Musketeer team. It can't just clear the stress very quickly, prevent more stress from coming in, and clear the damage at the same time. It's not an Immortal team. It has very good defense, but it's not an Immortal team. So if you push the tempo with both the stress and the DOT, it will eventually crumble. And that's what Daewid's trying to do, putting in the pressure in the most amounts of weight possible. So he's dropping those Beast Miles, he's getting all of them because there's no Rancid Cure-All, there's no nothing. Honestly, Tongue could have moved forward with this Crusader a long while ago, perhaps after dropping the Blork of Light, perhaps even before dropping the Blork of Light, and a lot of problems would have been avoided because the Flagell really wouldn't mind being hit by those. I don't think, and you'd be able to use his heals once his own characters start dropping closer, while still dropping punishes onto the man-at-arms. But he decided against it. He's just been using his heals, and he's just been using. I don't think he's used his stress heals yet, but he might eventually. So yeah, that doggy has the protection, he has the blight resistance, so he's really not eating too much from this Abomination Repulse, he's not really caring too much about it. The Grave Robber is gonna go for the Panic Darts, not enough stress just yet, and that Crusader could stress heal himself now and get Virtue Chance on top of it too. He has a lot of DOT on him, but he decides against it still, keeps going for heals on that dog, gets a crit heal for 12 on himself, and yeah, that is the healing that I was mentioning, like a crit heal for 12. Is big. It was a heal for 8 and crit heal for 12. That's a total of 20 on a Crusader heal, which shouldn't be that big, right? He's just becoming like this awesome support character when you put the Glorious Standard on him, and we love to see it, right? So, Daewid's Flagellant is continuing to drop those reclaims. He will most likely drop the Death Sword the next round and drop a big redeem onto that Man-at-Arms just to try and keep him safe. He does not have Rancid Cure-All on that Man-at-Arms. If he did, this matchup would be a hell of a lot easier because Man-at-Arms wouldn't get focused down at all with that DOT resistance. The Abomination has his Repulse and Self-Heals, and the Grave Robber has the Dodge plus the Flagellant dealing with the Reclaim. So he would buy himself a ton of time if he had the Rancid Cure-All, but you know, he didn't. He brought the Eerie Eye, which fair enough, Tongue could have brought one of his damage teams, and the Eerie Eye is very handy in that situation. You know, it's handy for this situation too. It will give the Bellows a bit more flair than what they normally would. He'd be missing everyone basically with those Bellows against the bolsters, but yeah. Now, Tongue is in a difficult situation because he kind of wants to just go Zealous and bring the Man-at-Arms down to 0, but if he does that, the Flagellant will immediately heal. He can go Punish as well, but it might not do enough, but indeed it does. Even with the Battle debuffs on the Prot, it does just enough damage, and that Man-at-Arms has so much DOD on him, though. Even if a Reclaim happens here, which it will, it's still the move, just make sure that Man-at-Arms gets a few more turns off. There could be an Exsanguinate too. But no, it is going to be a redeem, so that's both their HP bars basically restored to some extent. And of course they'll both be still DOTing down to 0, but Tongue has taken a lot of pressure so far because, you know, once more, he doesn't really have the Trinkets to deal with it. If he had Attack Whistle and Crimson Hook, he would be dealing way more stress than he is now. If he had rather than the Pit Fighter's Helm, right? If the Flagellant didn't have that Snuff and he had the Hemlock or something of the likes, you would also be going very aggressive and be having a really fun time here, but looks like the Crusader is gonna go Rational. He did not go for the Stress Heal at any point in time. The Bile Blight is like, and the Panic Darts is really stacking up. He's dropping to Death Sword the very next round. He needs to get more crit heals here. And the thing is, he will survive for a very long time by just healing himself, especially with the Bolster and the Glorious Standard, reducing the amount of stress taken that he has by 30% total. So he does have that for himself, but with the Irrational, he's eventually gonna get a pass, and he's eventually really gonna die almost instantly after that pass, because he won't have his heal. He'll drop the Death Star, and then stuff becomes quite dire. Also for Daewid, he must start to think about using his transformations at this point, because he hasn't used them yet. He's been dropping the Beast File, which fair enough, but that DOT is stacking up to the point that perhaps it's enough. Once those characters start dropping to 0, perhaps it's enough, perhaps it's time to drop the transform, make sure the horror goes through, finish off the affliction on that Houndmaster, and make it so the Crusader starts taking enough stress to go to a heart attack sometime soon. So that might be on David's mind here, because transformation is an awesome move, right? He might not want to do it immediately, he might want to do it at the end of his turn, and let Tongue just have one action before he de-transforms and immediately piles again. That's kind of what you want to do in a situation like this. Make sure the pile stays up, or rather the pile riposte stays up for as long as possible. Ends up going for one more. This ensures that the Crusader is dropping to 0, so at this point, yeah, another pile is the move. It's been 5 turns of pile, 5 turns of panic darts. And looks like David's just trying to push through, and it's working. You know, it really is working. Now, Tongue is looking at those characters' HP bars and like, wow, this looks bad. He doesn't have Rand Secure All, he doesn't have the Flash Wanted 2, so a lot of this pressure could have been completely avoided if he had a better setup for it. But now he's finally having to drop the Reclaims, and this is really not a time where you want to drop the Reclaims, because that Man at Arms has just been targeted with a big redeem heal, so if he dropped another punish, the Man at Arms would be closer to dropping to 0. A lot of that bleed's gonna run out, and the Flash will drop more Reclaims on there, so now it's gonna take him even longer to get the pressure back up and going again. He's probably gonna have to do it through stress, because now he's gonna have to start spending a lot of turns on the defense, meaning that he's not gonna be able to catch up with David's healing, which is really not ideal in a situation like this. Crusader is still dropping. If we get an irrational pass, that might just be a GG to a Panic Darts or something of the likes. And Man at Arms is at 2 HP. A Panic Darts will most likely bring him to Death's Door and get him afflicted at the same time, which really not ideal. The Crusader will drop a heal on there, but then that's 2 characters who are dropping to Death's Door again because of all the DOT, and that have plus stress taken debuffs on them because of the mortality debuff, right? From having dropped to Death's Door before. So yeah, it will be a Panic Darts with the crit, that's guaranteed going to be enough stress. Takes 23, takes a little more, doesn't go over 100, meaning that he's never gonna go Virtuous. I don't think the stress heal was used anyway. That might be another reason why Daewid isn't using the transforms just yet, because if he did that, then the Crusader will get a lot of value out of his own heal. So now might be the time to use the transformations. Now might be the perfect time to use the transformations, because if he does it now, the Crusader will continue to drop to their store, and if he goes for the stress heal, he's gonna get death blowed. So now would be the ideal time to start dropping those transformations, as long as you can ensure that DOT on there is still enough to bring Tongue's characters down to 0. But the health bars aren't looking too healthy on David's side. They're also not looking terrible. The Flagellant is doing a good job at keeping everyone alive. He will drop to Death's Door in the next round as well. He won't heal for that much, considering the fact that he still has a minus healing skills debuff on him, but it should be like 5-4-4 or something of the like, so not too terrible. That's not counting for crit heals, and that's not counting for the redeem that he will drop as well, once he actually wants to. While his pressure onto Tongue's characters is gathering up. It's gathering up. The doggy goes afflicted too. I was unable to see what affliction he got. I think the Man at Arms went selfish and the Crusader went irrational, which are both really not afflictions you want on those characters. 2 abusives would have been worse naturally, but because of the stuns, but this is still not what you want. Irrational can do really silly stuff, selfish can do really silly stuff. And I'd really like to know what the doggy has, but I guess we'll just have to live in curiosity, right? We'll have to live in curiosity for now. So the Tongue's Flagellant is going to be going for yet another punish. He probably doesn't do 7 because of those Veil debuffs that have been dropped every now and then. Resists the bleed too. Even if he did do 7 damage, Daewid would be forced to click his Flagellant just to get that heal there. But it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? Considering the fact that he is going for the Bellows, perhaps makes us think that he has gotten a minus damage affliction on that doggy, meaning that he still decides not to transform, by the way, but meaning that with that minus damage affliction and the bell debuffs, you wouldn't be able to get a death blow on David's characters anyway, the ones with protection at the very least. So the Man at Arms drops to 0, loses his turn to the affliction, so first turn afflicted with the selfish gets an immediate pass, and there'll probably be a panic darts on there just to roll for the death blow, and oh, it is a death blow. It is a death blow. So there is a bit of a silver lining here for Tongue, which is the fact that with his Man at Arms dead, and with all the DOD that has been dropped onto him, the corpse will go away soon, meaning that his Crusader will be available to use other abilities. But at the same time, the corpse will go away soon, meaning that the doggy is going to be brought to position 3 where you can get hit with the piles as well. So, oh, the dog says no to the heal, so he might have gotten a masochistic or a paranoid, and that means that he has to heal the Crusader, which is the exact opposite of what he wants at this point. Oh, there's 2 crit heals on that. Yeah, just as I said, 443. What did I say? 544. Nah, I said 544. I'll be silly, chef. But yeah, 2 crit heals out of the flash on dropping to this door. David is thinking of risking it, just so he gets that extra healing, but if he dies to a 20% here, the match will be turned on its head. Gets a crit heal onto the Man at Arms, and honestly, this is just a disaster. Tongue just went way too hard on the counter pick, and it's just backfired horribly. It has to feel that way. He could have tried to do something, bringing the Crusader to 1, and then try getting a win that way. Try making it so his characters last a lot longer, so his flash one can use his redeems, and keep his characters alive for a lot longer, because these situations are still winnable, even with these defensive protection-heavy teams, because you always have that, you know, I have infinite sustain while you don't. So as long as I endure, I'll be fine. But losing a character, being so close with that Crusader to dying as well, just if you drop to their sword passes, and the panic darts won't even need to get the death blow, just the stress will be enough. But yeah, the doggy moves forward, so he might be masochistic. Now he has 20 dodge, that's a bit unlikely. It's a bit unlikely that he went masochistic, but he drops that, the repulse will go through, it hits. The Man at Arms goes fearful, so that's a bit of dodge against Tongue's Exsanguinate, so he's probably not gonna land the Exsanguinate on the Man at Arms anytime soon, especially with that snuff. The hit chances will be god-awful. David's Grave Robber is, I think, taking a fair amount of DOT, so that's not looking too good on her. She hasn't used the Toxin Trickery yet. She could have used it a lot earlier, just to save herself here from some of the pressure, but she decided against it, so, you know, it has been decided against, I suppose. Decides against using the transformation still, even though his abomination is called Slam Bile, he has not slammed this entire match. He could have slammed like eons ago, but he has decided against it, so you know, what can he do? He will not go first, so he can drop a Panic Darts here onto the Crusader. That's 27 stress, he will go to 194, which isn't enough if he drops to this sword to die from a heart attack, but it's very close. It is very close to enough. Or he could do it on the Houndmaster as well, which will be even closer, and he will be dropping to Death Star after the hit. So, really, whatever you do with the Grave Robber here just feels like a good move, apart from hitting the Flatulent and letting him take advantage of his own heals, right? That would be the only thing that wouldn't feel too good here. So, Tongue has, at this point, practically given up on the prospect of even using his redeem heals, because he's still not going for the reclaims. He went for like 1, if I remember correctly. It's gonna be an Exsanguinate. Oh, I'm not sure if you want to do that. You might give him access to his redeem heals now, but he does go for the Exsanguinate on there. I suppose the corpse is going away, and this will exhaust the Flagellant later down the line, but do you want to exhaust the Flagellant, or do you want to kill the other characters? Right, that's the question here. But even with the redeem heal, honestly, it won't be too hard to kill the other characters. It won't be too hard. If you do 3 damage to that Crusader, he is dead. And there's a very no, it's actually not that decent. The Bulwark of Light was dropped, so doing 3 damage to this Crusader will be kind of a pipe dream in a situation like this. Perhaps the Beast Smile to drop him to 2 first, would then drop him to 0, but Daewid is going for his panic darts. 2 to 3, there was a chance he would have dropped him to 0. Does extra stress to the other characters. If a transformation comes down and there's no extra stress from anyone else, the Crusader will drop to 0 after the transformation and he will take enough TOT to die. However, the doggy can try guarding him so he doesn't take enough stress, but that probably won't do, and you know, doggy guarding at this point in time, it's a bit late. It is a bit late to be guarding here, especially when you're at that sword, so he goes for the Licoons instead, and the Flashhunt will probably drop his own heal. A Beast Vial could also get the kill here. He does have the Spike Chain, so it does 1 damage, just enough to bring that Crusader down. That doggy is still very easily dropping to their store. The redeems are available now at last for Tongue, but you just have to believe that it's too little too late here. David's entire backline is still alive, hasn't suffered a single hit store check, they're not even close to dying. And Tongue's Flagellant is practically on his own now. Goes for punish onto David's own Flagellant, just to make sure that he keeps dropping to 0. His plan at this point must be to exhaust David. Well, it has been to exhaust David's Flagellant, but the thing is, exhausting the Flagellant is usually an idea that you only go for when you can't do anything else, when it looks really that dire that you can't focus anything else, so you have to exhaust the Flagellant. And the idea of exhausting Flagellant is you make your way through his 5 heals and then kill him. Or you make your way through his 5 heals, then he doesn't have any healing left, and your Flagellant will have the heal supremacy at the end of the match, which Tongue's Flagellant doesn't indeed have that. But the rest of his team is dead, so it's not really enough to justify it. At this point, I think Daewid could even drop a punish onto that doggy, just make it so he dies immediately from the punish being dropped, but his hit chance was probably far from a guarantee. No, he did drop a command buff. I see that accuracy there. He could have immediately killed the doggy if he wanted to. I think that would have been a fine move, but honestly, their boss is going to kill him anyway. And now it is a 4v1 against Tongue's Flagellant, but you know, it is just the first match. Tongue did not get lucky on the RNG, basically. When you play Butcher Circus in one of these tournaments, there's kind of 2 things you can do, right? You can go for the counter pick, or you can go for the balance team. It's just how it is. And of course, even if you don't go for the counter pick and you go for the balance team, there will still teams that will counter you, but they won't counter you as hard. You won't have any fantastic matchups, but you won't have any terrible matchups either. That's kind of the idea of going for the balance team. I think that Daewid went for the balance team and it worked out really well for him. He misses the exact grenade. That's so sad. The snuff is so sad. Yeah, Daewid went for the balance team while Tongue went for the hard counter pick, and it just did not pay off going for the hard counter pick in this situation. But we might see things change in match number 2. Daewid losing one of his stress teams. He does have 3, so it doesn't really change the deck situation too much. He does have 3, so he will now be having 2 of his damage teams, which I believe are WD and Halo, and 2 of his stress teams, which are honestly, in my opinion, the better ones than this one. And Tongue ends up surrendering, so we'll go into a match number 2 soon. So very quickly looking at the decks once more, Daewid, also known as Pain in the Glass, now has the Halo comp. He has WD, which you probably won't play with those positions, but he has that. He has used this stress team, so he still has this one, he still has this one. So he still has 2 very, very good stress teams, which I believe Tongue has at least the last one too. And he has 2 very good damage teams, so really it is kind of difficult for Tongue to figure out what to bring here. In terms of Tongue's teams, he has lost one of his favorite defensive teams, which is this one. He still has this defensive team, he still has this odd one, he still has this stress team, which he likely won't use, and he still has the Halo comp. So we don't yet know what Tongue is going to bring. If I remember correctly, he used both the defensive teams against me, didn't he? I think he did. Or did he bring this? I honestly can't remember too well anymore, but Tongue has readied, so now it is time for Daewid to do the same, and we'll get straight into it. And actually, before we get straight into it, I want to look at the player's journey. So Tongue beat Verox, and then he went on against me, and he lost, so he went to the loser's bracket, and he got quite unlucky to be placed in round 1, despite having already won a match. So he has beaten 1, 2, 3, 4 people since then, only losing 2 matches out of those 4. He's finally facing off against Daewid, while Daewid had a much better time in the winner's bracket and basically landed here. He won 2 matches in the winner's bracket, lost to Silac, and is now here. And whoever wins from this is going to fight whoever wins from myself and Sergi, and that will be later today. So it is quite exciting for sure. So yeah, it is very good for me to be watching this, though I need to focus on the task ahead rather than be thinking of the round 6, because this round 5 will be even more exciting than the round we're watching at the moment. At least it's against Sergi, so between myself and Sergi, it is going to be quite insane. I can imagine already. So yeah, we'll see, and let's see what Daewid wants to bring. Familiarity breeds contempt and does not forgive failure. And would you look at that? It's a mirror match. It is a mirror match. So Tongue is playing his other favorite defensive stress team. And he's playing it with the very aggressive setup on that flagellant. I wonder what Daewid has on his trinket setup, because this really will be the most important part of this match. He decides to go for the B-Smile, which is interesting considering the fact that Tongue's flagellant has Reign of Sorrows and he has the Crimson Hook. I did manage to see that for a split second. So pushing that flagellant back would buy Daewid quite a lot of time here. But he decides against it, just goes for the B-Smile immediately. Of course, if he did that, he could have been pushed. His Abomination could have been pushed too, but he would have to move resistance, so it would be very unlikely. And yeah, after Transform slamming, it would be quite nice, because then he would go first next round. Oh, that's a big hit. He would go first the next round, so he'd be able to pile. And then Tongue would have to pile into his pile, considering that he would also go for the Transform slam into then the pile by round 2. But yeah, we still don't know the setup on Daewid's side, but now he has a really powerful repulse, because he has the repulse trinket on it, the spike chain, so he has an extra 20% damage, and he has the crit buff as well for an extra 20% damage, basically meaning that the repulse modifier, which is minus 80% on the Abomination's B-Smile repulse, is additive, so it is being shaved in half by the damage buffs that Daewid currently has, meaning that he's doing minus 40% of his base damage, and the Abomination's base damage is 9 to 17, so right now he's doing like 5 to 9, basically. He's doing like 5 to 9. If he crits, he's probably going to crit for like 13 or something. It's going to be a bit nuts. So he has Reclaim on his own flagellant, but he does not have Punish, and he has Reign of Sorrows here, which is better. Well, no, both of them have Reign of Sorrows, but he has the Hemlock, which is better than Tongue, which has the Crimson Hook, which is great too, of course. Crimson Hook is awesome, but in this situation, considering that both players have Arbalists, which can cure the bleeds, having a Blight rather than a bleed will be more handy later down the line, because the Arbalist can heal the bleeds, but she can't heal the Blights. So yeah, now Daewid is thinking of going for the sniper shot. He indeed goes for it. Doesn't get that much damage through and manages to get hit with a crit repulse, so not an ideal situation. And now Tongue just goes for a heal with his own Arbalist, and now it feels a lot better going for that heal, because he cures the bleed and makes use of the entire heal that he could have used. So kind of going first in this situation would have been quite bad, because if you went for a heal on this Abomination, it would be kind of pointless. And yeah, it would be kind of pointless. Going first over there for Daewid really was difficult. Like, what else could he have done that would have been different or better, right? But yeah, his Man at Arms has the Ransom Cure and the Numbing Instant, so that is very good. While Tongue's Man at Arms has again Snuff and Numbing Instant, so he was expecting stuns. Daewid brought 1 stun, and he's not going to be using it. So the Ransom Cure difference here will be massive, and I mean massive. Unless the RNG decides against it, but it should be massive, having those bleeds go through against the Man-at-Arms, while his own Man-at-Arms does not have the bleeds go through. Also, one thing that is quite interesting is that both players speak Chinese, but Daewid speaks English a lot better than Tongue does, so Daewid speaks English, and he speaks a bit of Chinese, while Tongue speaks Chinese, and I believe a bit of English, so they can communicate, but not too well. And I found that quite interesting while he was talking to me about how they were communicating, and explaining the times that they would be that they would be playing, which is that Tongue was having to Google Translate David's English, so he decided to start speaking Chinese, but then he had to start translating some of Tongue's messages because the Chinese was getting a bit too complicated for him. So it is kind of an interesting dilemma there. But yeah, in terms of how the match is going, both players are just going full on the offense here. No reclaims are being dropped, sniper shots are being dropped. Tongue did decide to go for the guard himself as well onto that Arbalest just to make sure that she doesn't get hit with bleeds, so she can focus more on the defense. Goes for a slam on that Abomination. If that had dealt enough damage, it would have been good, but I mean, the transformation goes through here. Going first really is just not helping David at this point in time, because if he goes for the V-Smile, he has to get into the riposte, and then Tongue could just say, you know what, I don't want to go V-Smile, I'll into your riposte, I'll just go transform slam, while you just stay there like a buffoon because you went into my riposte and I will have to go into yours. So yeah, it's really not looking ideal for David at this point in time, and because he did that slam and did that amount of damage to the flagellant, it means he will get his heals off sooner, it means he will get his exsanguinates, and means he will drop to this door, which is really the big thing here, because he's gonna heal his other characters of their health bars, and it's really not gonna look too ideal. So yeah, David is just met with a difficult situation once more with his Arbalest. Like if either player had Musketeer here, it would be amazing because you'd have the anti-stress, right? But no, neither player has the Musketeer. This is not an Immortal Musketeer match, it is with the Arbalest, so Immortal Arbalest, basically. In a situation like this, there is a stun onto that Abomination that has been transformed, so it will be a while before he's actually able to use his stuff. There could be a flare here, but the flare just met with yet another stun and a bit more damage going through. There could be a stun resistance, but considering that none of them have numbing incense on either of their Abominations, that will likely not happen. So David will end up just going on the flagellant and making use of that A-bomb not having its riposte anymore and going for the Rain of Sorrows. Fails the DOT on the Man-at-Arms, which you can clearly see David is upset about. Immediately looks at those resistances like, come on man, you don't have snuff, I have snuff, you don't. How do you get it? How do you freaking get it? But yeah, now in this situation, Tongue is also in a very odd spot, because after dropping the Transform Slam, this means that the Rain of Sorrows becomes really just bad, just straight up bad, because that Arbalest has like 95% bleed resistance, the Man-at-Arms has 75% bleed resistance, so instead of going for that, you just go Punish onto that Abomination. Of course the Arbalest can immediately heal that, and make it not feel so bad, but oh, that Flagellant didn't even have to heal. That is a bit risky, going for that. The Flagellant not even dropping a heal in that situation, but considering Tongue does not go first. David goes first, so he would be able to get a kill onto that Flagellant that is at this door. So Tongue will most likely have to drop a heal eventually, but doesn't have to drop a heal with the Flagellant, meaning that he got the heal off from dropping to this door, he got the extra damage and the extra accuracy from being at this door, and now he gets to drop the heal with the Arbalest, which has an infinite amount of bandages up her, I don't know, up her pouch? Does she have a pouch on her back? No, she has that for her bolts. So I don't really know. They're hidden inside her bandana, that has to be it. But yeah. The enemy Abomination, so Tongue's Abomination here, is taking a lot of stress overall. Especially because of the horror that has gone down already. So David has used one transformation, Tongue still hasn't used his. He's probably thinking about just going Transform Slam onto that Abomination just to do a ton of damage. When he ends up deciding against it, just plays it slow and steady, goes for the V-Smile, applies the Blight on both of them, which is really just unfortunate for David, because he has a Ran Secure All, he sacrificed the Kitty for his own Man-at-Arms, and he has the Abomination with that extra Blight resistance, but it doesn't matter, because the Spike Chain is helping quite a bit with the Blight chance for Tongue. So really just looking a bit dire here for David. He also got quite unlucky not to push the Flagellant in the first place when he went for the slam. It was a 60, so looking a tiny bit dire. His Abomination can get to act now, but if he wants to pile, he will have to pile into Tongue. into Tongue's own Abomination, and of course he will have to hit into that repulse, which has a crit buff, at the very least one crit buff, just one crit buff, but it will still hurt most definitely. So a bellow first is an idea, or something of the likes, or just going for are you going for a rage? No way he goes for the rage. I don't think that would be a good move, because the Arbol just heals and doesn't really... I mean, dropping to this sword would be kind of big here. But he can't go for the stun, because the problem with the stun is that if he goes for a stun onto that Abomination, he gets hit with the repulse and then the Arbol just flares. So really no stun has happened, right? So he goes for the V-Smile, gets a juicy crit on it, but... Oh, Tongue's Abomination goes abusive, which normally wouldn't be a good thing, right? It's an affliction, but this affliction is minus accuracy, which in this matchup does not matter whatsoever. But it is plus 20% damage, which once more is countering the Abomination's minus 80% damage on repulse. So that A-Bomb is doing so much damage on his repulse right now. If he gets a transformation damage buff through, if he gets guards plus command buffs, he's going to do so much freaking damage on that repulse. Like crit 14, crit 15, crit 16. And it won't even make sense for David to try hitting him anymore. It just won't be worth it in terms of how the numbers work. So yeah, his own Flagellant is dropping soon. He's not having a fun time, but he will get his... Oh, he's not quite at 14. He's not quite at 14. I meant that he's dropping below 40% HP soon, but not yet. Not yet. He's at 15, so he decides to go for their claims, because both Abominations have taken a lot of pressure here, but Tongue is able to heal his own Abomination. Honestly, it just feels like... Tongue has more mastery with this team than David has with his. It feels a bit like that, because this is Tongue's game, right? He plays those two teams basically every day. I've played against him, he played these two teams. I've played him in ladder, he played these two teams. He just loves it, and he has his own specific playstyle for them. Bringing the Arbals with the double, clear, nope, not bringing the reach, and he feels like he doesn't need it. And just playing it in his own way, playing it like that. And it just feels like, because he knows the matchup better, he knows what's gonna happen, he knows what he needs to do, and he knows what he needs to not do. And so far it's looking better for him, because yeah, all of his characters have better HPs. His Abomination is afflicted, but he has basically better affliction than what David's Abomination has. And I didn't even see his affliction, but I don't imagine it's better than abusive. For this specific point. And he really has to drop a heal here. I mean, there's no better move, but even if he does, he's gonna get hit with a punish, so he's still dropping to death's door, and there's just so much pressure going to David's side, while he's just forced to react to what is happening. But the punish is dodged, so it's definitely not an abusive, it's a dodge affliction, and it pays off almost immediately. The Flagellant failing that punish even with 100 accuracy. Quite unfortunate, very unfortunate for Tongue in the situation that does happen. There might be a transform slam coming soon, which would very likely do 11 damage considering the abusive, and the transformation damage buff. Honestly guaranteed that it would do enough damage at this point, unless a Bella comes through first or something of the likes. Decides to go for the command buff himself, gets accuracy. I don't really know why he goes for the command buff here. Maybe he's planning on going for the Exsanguinate onto that mana arms or something of the likes, but the Arbals will just heal it, so it doesn't really matter all that much at the end of the day. And even though that Arbals is exposed, even though that mana arms doesn't really have Rancid Cure-All, David just doesn't have the availability to go for the Rain of Sorrows. He has to save his Abomination because he's constantly under pressure. He could be guarding the Abomination here, he could be guarding with his own Rancid Cure-All, but he's deciding against it. He does go for the Flare here, and now things look a lot brighter, because using the Flare means that the stun and the daze go away, and he still has his repulsed up. So look, there's 3 repulsed characters. The Higher Man and the Man at Arms both have repulse that lasts for 2 turns. So if you stun them and then they click while they still have 2 turns, they go down to 1 turn and then they have the repulse back up. The Abomination is the only repulse character that only has the repulse that lasts for 1 turn, so it's a short-lived repulse. If you want to have it up, you need to keep spamming Beast File. So, meaning that even if you go for the stun just as he's used it, he will not have this repulse anymore. But if you flare it, he's still gonna have it. So the Arbalist Abomination synergy is quite big, and that's kind of what this team is built on, just spamming the hell out of Beast File. It is kind of what the team is built on. So he has to be the first one to use the redeems here, but he gets a crit heal, sadly on the wrong character. But I mean, you won't say no to it, of course. But Tongue has used an Exsanguinate. Of course, redeems before Exsanguinates. That's kind of a thing here. But if he doesn't manage to live long enough to see the fruits of that coming through, then it won't matter anyway. But yeah, that Abomination is gonna eat an 18 roll from that sniper shot, even though the Arbalist has Exotic Snuff and Medic Soul Plate, so none of them giving damage. He still rolls for 18. She does a lot of freaking damage, the Arbalist. Yeah. She does way too much damage. She has a 25% damage mod on just sniper shot, because why wouldn't she? She does 10 to 19, so she could have gotten a crit there for like, what is it, 24? Yeah, she could have gotten a crit for a lot. So there will most likely be a guard here, but this is just begging for a transform slam to come down, especially considering that it has been a while since that Abomination's in 2, so I'm pretty sure his move resistances have gone away. So I'd have to say that Abom was just begging to get slammed to the back, begging to get put to death's door, and get put to a position where he cannot act. And indeed, that is what comes down, basically just nullifying Daewid's card here, because he's the one that put his Abomination in 2, right? He's the one that put his Abomination in a position to get punished, exsanguinated, and slammed. And now he's at this door, he is afflicted, he can heal, but the Abomination is in 4, which really sucks. It's gonna be a while before he can do anything. He went Fearful. Fearful does not say no to heals, if I remember correctly. I used to think it did, but I think I was proven wrong. But I'm not sure if I was proven wrong. I think I was, but I can't remember exactly. Here's the thing, even if he heals now with that Arbalist, Tongue's Arbalist will most likely just go for a sniper shot on there, and it will most likely do 19 too, but there will be regen after that. So he won't actually be jumping to the store and have to heal himself with the Absolution, so it's not the end of the world here, because the bleed was cured. Only the blight wasn't enough to kind of save him, so perhaps a bit of a... No, not an oversight, but kind of... Not the smartest idea from Tongue. He does drop the Abomination to their store again, obviously, which causes a bit more stress, but I feel like that Arbalist could have done something else, like shooting the enemy Arbalist. She only has 11 HP, she does have the 20 prot, sure, but you could have most likely done just enough damage to bring her down to 0, force her to heal herself directly, force her to have that test or recovery debuff, which the Abomination already had, so we could have seen that happen. We could have seen more HP, making that Abomination super comfortable on Tongue's side, but none of those things went down. There was just another shot onto Daewid's Flagellum, but rather onto Daewid's Abomination, and now it's going to be yet another regen, just basically making sure that Abomination is chilling. There will be a Rain of Sorrows coming down here, so it's going to be even more damage and even more bleeds coming through, and yes, they will be happening onto that Arbalist as well. That could have been a death blow if the sniper shot had dealt enough damage, but that's beyond the point. So the Abomination will now most likely want to detransform Bile, just to get that repulse up and going, and to get at least a bit out of the danger zone that he is in right now. So he will most likely be going for it. He could have slammed the enemy Abomination too, but it was a 50-50 going to push, so it would be a bit of a greedy move, or a bit of a difficult move to pull off. It just goes for the Beast File here, causes some pressure onto both of them. I'm not sure if he got the Blight on the Abomination. He might have, considering he was taking 5. Now, even with the 95% blight resistance that he has right there. So it's going to be a detransform, and most likely a Bile of his own, or even a Stress Seal, or a Manacles. But that Manacles is a bit rough. It makes it so, you know, the Arbalist can flare it. Sure, the Arbalist can flare it, but if she flares it, the Abomination's at this door, she's dropping closer to this door, so she can flare their boss, but all that's gonna happen is the Flagellum goes for Rain of Sorrows on it, and he doesn't mind being hit, and he might even get the kill immediately, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's not that good. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because the Abomination has already dropped both transforms, and that's usually what you think of when you're playing a team like this, but these teams are kind of like the stepping stone between a defensive stress team and an immortal team, because it's not an immortal team, it doesn't have stress heals, it's just a really, really tanky and defensive stress team. It can go quite aggressive too, but it's just a tanky and defensive stress team, meaning that you want to keep all the characters alive. It's not the kind of team where you want to make a trade of characters and just come out on top because you've dealt more stress and more DOT and more damage or whatever. It's a team where you want to keep everyone alive. Not at all costs, because if you lose someone you immediately lose the match, but you still want to keep everyone alive. That's the idea here. So Bellow comes down, causes quite a bit of stress. That Abomination was at this store indeed. So this is really, really bad here. If a heal happens, or if a heal doesn't happen, there is the possibility of a sniper shot into a Rain of Sorrows. And I mean, Tongue's Arbalist is just chilling, and I mean chilling. She's at full HP, like 50 stress. She has a bit of horror on her, but she doesn't care. She takes 6 from it, goes for a sniper shot onto Daewid's Arbalist, so now she is at this store too. And it's not just being at this store, it's being at this store and having the death store recovery. So even if Tongue doesn't get a death blow here, which he might just straight up get a death blow, you will cause a ton of stress onto her, and after her self-heal, she will take even more stress after that. So this is just looking amazing, and I mean amazing for Tongue in a situation like this, which means we might go for a match number 3, despite how it looked much better from Daewid for round 1, because he went first, he had the trinket advantage, he brought the Rancid Cure Roll, and he brought the Hemlock, so he wouldn't get completely countered by the bleed clears. The Arbalist is going to click now and heal most likely. She is not going to go afflicted, saved by the Medic's full plate and the bolster, and she's going to heal herself and cure all the DOT. So she is going to get afflicted by the next spell. She does have the extra stress taken, but she survives. She doesn't take the 25, and the match isn't over just yet. Tongue continues to fight and continues to have to pry this win out of Daewid's cold literature hands. We are in the literature club. I don't know what kind of comparison I can make with it, but it's a cool looking background, I must say. Like it looks quite fancy. It looks quite neat, and they're fighting in it. It's interesting. It's not a bad background. I suppose it makes more sense for them to be fighting in this room than for them to be fighting with my cat watching from the background. It's not my cat, but I mean my background where the cat is watching from. So yeah, it is a bit of a better background choice than mine. But oh, the fearful pass, and that feels really bad here because the Beast Smile might have killed Tongue's Abomination if the numbers matched up right for him. And the Abomination would refuse to heal, but if it worked correctly, it would have been really good here for Daewid. Plus, he would have dropped a big blight on the mana round, should have caused a lot of pressure as well. But the Fearful just passes. He did dodge a punish earlier, so what goes around comes around, I suppose. I mean earlier, I mean like, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago. It's only round 8, but it feels like this match has been going on for 30 minutes. Because the players are thinking a lot. And yesterday I said, come on players, don't think. I said, please think a lot. You have 20 seconds. Each torch that is running down takes 20 seconds to go all the way down. So use your time to think, go for the correct moves. And this Bellow makes it so if the Abomination makes it so if the Arbalist doesn't heal now, the Abomination dies. I believe there is enough DOT that I don't believe there is enough DOT that after the heal the Abomination doesn't die. I believe he has enough to just die here. Or maybe not, because he's not immediately going for the heal, which makes me think that perhaps that Abomination does not have enough dot. Daewid is not hovering over it. I don't know why, maybe kind of a mind game here, or maybe he just knows the amount of DOT that the Abomination has, but if he doesn't get it, or rather, if he doesn't drop to Death Store, which it seems that he probably does, 3 damage. No, he cannot be dropping to Death Store here. Why does he go for that? Why doesn't he just heal the Man Arms to buy himself time or something? Why does he go for that? 3 damage won't make a difference. Why didn't he shoot the Arbalist instead? Maybe get her closer to 0 after Rain of Sorrows. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, the Abomination cannot be dying, but the reason he went for that and decided not to heal the Abomination is because he's gonna have a heart attack, and after his self-heal, he's gonna have a lot of anti-stress, and he's just gonna be pretty much chilling, right? So a Rain of Swords can come down. Those hit chances do not look too juicy, but managed to to get both of them anyway, but it is beyond me why he went for for the sniper shot. Oh, just one, just barely. Why he went... Oh, extra stress on all of them, that's crazy. That's a very unlikely that it happens. But yeah, after the Sap Solution comes out, he's at 150 stress with Bolster and with the Heart Attack Recovery buff. I would say debuff, but it has a buff on it as well. It makes you take 15% less stress. And honestly, that's just something that is really cool about the Butcher's Circus. Sure, I'm gonna praise it again every chance I get, but there is something that is really cool about the Butcher's Circus, which is the fact that there's no recovery. Oh my god, the save bomb sucks. Freaking fearful. Do you really want to be fearful in this world? You do not. But yeah. Something that is quite interesting is that the Death Slow Recovery debuff is just a straight up debuff. It's like -2 accuracy, -5%, or -10, -5% damage and +10% stress taken. The Heart Attack Recovery increases those debuffs to like -3 accuracy, -10% damage, but it gives you -15% stress taken. So there's a silver lining to getting to being in a situation after the heart attack. Now, unfortunately, IRL it's not like that, so don't get the heart attack recovery buff. do not roll for it. Run around with your own numbing instance, if possible. And by numbing instance, I mean a steady support group of friends and family. But yeah. Back to the Butcher's Circus itself. This Arbalist is getting stunned. She's getting stunned, even though she has the snuff, and even though she was in position 4, she's getting stunned by that abomination. Lowers her HP a bit further down, meaning that after the Train of Sorrows, if the bleed goes through, which is quite likely, it's an 85, if the bleed goes through, she is once more dropping to this door, and that's obviously not what Daewid wants at this point. But that Man-at-Arms has survived a lot of DOT. He hasn't really been eating a lot of DOT overall, so he's fine. He's free to guard that Arbalist now, so she doesn't just drop to this or and die. She has got Masochistic too, so she might move to position 2. He got the exact opposite of what you wanted. You want to have a Fearful Arbalist and the Masochistic Abomination, not this. This is really not what you want. But yeah. The situation is looking a lot better overall for Daewid here, because now he can go for... No, he can go for Rain of Stars. He won't even get hit, so even if he drops to this door, it's just a boon for him. But the situation has sort of turned, because that Man-at-Arms is almost dropping to this door here, and Tongue decides to go for his action first, to go for the heal, meaning that Oh, he doesn't quite drop to this, so unfortunate for Daewid, but he's gonna go for the Rain of Stars here, probably apply more bleeds. Doesn't apply the bleed! There's no justice in this world, and this is proof. No justice, absolutely no justice. No Rancid Cure-All, but still resists 2 bleeds, I believe, with that Man-at-Arms, which... There is no Crimson Hook, there is no Spiked Mat, so the chance is only 65, so, you know, it will eventually happen, but it still feels quite bad here. For Daewid, obviously, it still feels quite bad not to get those through. So he's most likely going to drop a bell here that will cause, you'd hope 2 afflictions, but unfortunately it is just 1 affliction. Man-at-Arms goes Paranoid, which I'm pretty sure Daewid is happy about, because Paranoid makes you hit your allies. Now in this situation, as long as you don't hit the Arbalist can cure whatever flare comes... what? No, the Arbalist can flare whatever stun comes down, so that is always a possibility. Here, Daewid is kind of in a weird situation, because he wants to heal that Man-at-Arms, but he kind of wants to heal the Man-at-Arms and the Arbalist by dropping to this door with the Flagell, but he's not going to have a chance to do that. Unfortunately for him, he went for the Man-at-Arms turn rather than the Arbalist turn, just staying at this door or something. That could have been an idea, but he really wanted to get those afflictions, so it makes sense. Triple crit heal! Triple crit heal! What are the chances of that? That's like 1 in 1,000! Jesus fucking Christ, 1 in 1,000 and another crit heal! This entire team is just chilling! What is this? Triple quadra heal! 4 heals in 1 turn! From this Flagell. What? Oh my god! 4 out of his 5 heals crit, and just... Oh, it's so balanced, like... The Abomination didn't really need the healing, right? But that Man-at-Arms is at full HP, the Flagell's at full HP again, the Arbalist isn't even close to dropping to this door. Oh my god, okay. His own Man-at-Arms goes irrational, which isn't that good. The Arbalist is probably looking for a Bola into the Abomination, getting his turn off. She marks herself, which doesn't. Oh, it could matter actually. If the guard goes away, the sniper shot could make it. Could make something happen here. Goes for the bullet, gets a nice crit on it, causes a bit of stress to the enemy's characters, and doesn't heal the stress that the Abomination still had. So it is not not too bad. And now the Abomination can go for his turn too. He was probably praying that he would push the men-at-arms, so you'd have more axes to that Arbalist. But at the same time, you kind of want to hit the men-at-arms too. Oh, but you'd be able to hit the men-at-arms and the Arbalist by going for the Beast-Spile now, so it would have been really juicy, but unfortunately the bullet does not happen. The Snuff did give that value there with that extra move resistance, so the Arbalist is finally going to go Afflicted. She goes Irrational, which is really quite bad. It's not what you want. The Afflictions are kind of just bad overall. Goes for a Sniper Shot. The crit actually causing a ton of stress here and kind of just shaving a lot of Daevid's Abomination's HP off. And the stress, it's enough for a heart attack! Despite the bolster, it's enough for a heart attack because of that Death Star recovery debuff, and now it doesn't really look too good. There's going to be a knocked out Bellow, that's a dodge though from the Fearful. Fearful gets a very juicy dodge. There's going to be extra stress. Oh, would it have dealt 18? I don't believe it would. I don't believe it would with the bolster, but it would have been really close to him dying. He really has to drop just a very nice heal now with his Arbalist if he plans on surviving. And Masochistic will be able to drop this heal, and I don't believe Fearful will be able to refuse it. But the Arbalist might once more want to move forward. So that would be quite bad. He decides against it, goes for the Abomination's own turn. He can pass. He can pass, but he doesn't. I think... Wow. Was that with a heart attack recovery, by the way? It was, wasn't it? I believe it was with a heart attack recovery, so now that Abomination is kind of just completely chilling, isn't he? I suppose he wants his Arbalist turn for something else. We don't know what. We don't know what he wants his Arbalist turn for, but he definitely, intentionally, did not use the Arbalist turn there to heal to go for his Abomination's healing turn. So, he's used both his heals, he used both his transforms. Tongue still has his transforms, still has his heals. You might see it now, you might see it... Oh, that's just a free flare, I'm gonna have to say. That gets rid of the Daze, gets rid of the Battle Devos. That's just a very juicy flare to get here, and then he will have the Abomination Supremacy, basically, going, and then he will most likely go for it. Causes stress with his flare, because the flare actually hits the enemy team, so if they're already afflicted, they might be like, haha, you got hit with the flare, you are actually not working with them, and you know, then they stress each other out. So cannot hit that Abomination anymore, because the Man-at-Arms decides to go for a guard, but he's quite close to 0, really close to 0. It's a close match, it's round 11. Feels like it has been a lot longer than round 11, but this one's gonna go down to the wire. One thing that we should take note of, though, very important thing, once more, the Flagellants are not equal. Tongue has used an Exsanguinate, David has used both Redeems. Perhaps Tongue has used 2 Exsanguinates, I can't remember, but I think it's only been 1. But yeah, David has used both his Redeems, and he does not have Punish. He has Reclaim instead. So he has to keep his team alive if he wants to win at the end of the match, or else he won't be able to. So he has to keep either his Abomination or his Arbalist alive. And I mean either, because if he doesn't manage to keep them both, or like either of them alive, the Men-at-Arms and the Flagellant cannot beat the enemy Flagellant at the end of the match. Bellow will not do stress, it will do 2 stress, which isn't enough to win. You don't have 100 turns, you only have 40. It's not enough to win, and the Exsanguinates will most likely not be enough to kill, because you only have like 3 shots at getting it, and the Flagellant will heal before you're able to use them, right? So, goes for Ring of Sorrows here, does not get the Death Blow, and does not get the Bleed on the enemy Arbalist. Feels quite terrible to be David in this situation. It would have been amazing to get the kill and the Bleed on the Arbalist, would have dropped her almost a Death Star, but she didn't. Moves forward with that Arbalist with the Irrational, which means that she can now get hit, as can the Man-at-Arms by the Beast-Spile, but I believe David's own Abomination is dropping to Death Star very soon. Decides to go for a Bellow instead, just to cause pressure here, just to cause stress. Very close to another heart attack on that Abomination. He can once more heal himself, and then it's gonna take like, what, another 5 Bellows? No, more. It's gonna take another 6 Bellows. Considering extra stress, it's gonna take another 6 Bellows to bring that Abomination to another heart attack. Yeah, heart attack recovery buff is massive. Really is, really freaking is. Yeah, that Avon can now go for his turn, and oh, there's the final transformation that he has. He goes for it, he's gonna go for the rage. It's guaranteed enough damage to bring David's A-bomb down to 0. He doesn't have any more healing on him. The Arbalist is still guarded, but she's gonna be dropping to the storage. She'll have a lot of horror on her, which she will have to eat while she is at this door, meaning it's going to cause a lot of stress and she's masochistic too, meaning it's going to cause even more stress. So it really feels kind of rough here. You need a big heal to save that abomination, and once more, these characters need to survive, or Tongue will just be able to win the match because he has a flagellant with punish, while David does not. So these characters really need to survive. I think a reclaim could have been dropped, but David's really trying to get the kills here with the Reign of Sorrows, because he kind of has to at this point in time. He will not take enough stress because of the heart attack recovery, but that could be problematic too, because now he might die to a sniper shot or something of the likes, but most likely that Arbalist will be dropping to 0 after the beast smile comes through. He has 102 accuracy, so I don't believe it will miss. I highly doubt it will miss, considering the amount of dodge. Oh, you really... I'm not sure if he wants to go for a punish here. I feel like the stress from the bile would just be overall better, but he's looking at the manacles. I meant manacles. He's gonna go for it. He gets the stun, but he doesn't get enough DOT through. He does not get enough DOT through, and there's another Rain of Stars coming down. That's a crit. Doesn't change too much. At this point, but that Arbalist, I believe she's still alive, but still alive does not mean she's fine. She is very, very far from fine. If there's a bellow, she's dead, basically. Because the flagellant does not have his heals up. He can use his reclaim! Why doesn't he have reclaim on that Arbalist? He could be using his reclaim just to regen her out of this door, and she can't be hit after the stress comes down. He really needs to get that going soon. Sooner the better. But he needs to save the abomination too, and by saving them might be a final action turn. Extra stress, a bellow, and they're both dead, and I don't think he's gonna get his regen value. That's 199, not enough stress to make that abomination have a heart attack just yet. That would have been massive, because then he would take extra stress from being in transformation mode. But that Men at Arms, we really need an act out here. There's no act out. Goes for the bellow. I believe that's a hit on everyone. That's 1 kill. That's 2 kills. And that's probably GG. Probably GG. It looks very, very rough now for David, because he does not have a way. Once more, he does not have a way to kill Tongue's flagellant. How do you kill the flagellant here? You only have Bellow and Exsanguinate. It's not gonna do. It won't do. And he can go for command buff. He can go for Reign of Sorrows. He can maybe still kill Tongue's 3 other characters, but he cannot kill that flagellant. All he had to do was just drop like 1 reclaim on the Arbalist to keep her alive. But, oh, it's sad. It really is sad. That Bell just getting 2 kills. There could have been a paranoid like act out command buff or a guard on like the flagellant or something. There was no act out. The Abomination detransforms, heals himself, buying so much time too, and yeah, there's no punish. If there were punish, this would be fine, but there's no punish. Arbalist is dropping to their store here, so there's going to be 3 Death Store recovery debuffs on Tongue's side, and the Bell will most likely get... Well, it will get 1 kill, maybe not 2, but it will get 1 kill. Punish comes down, it does not apply the bleed though, the Ransack Hero value coming through, and a Reign of Stars here might just be a double kill, but once more, you cannot deal with that flagellant at the end of the match. I don't believe he's used all of his Exsanguinates. If he has used all his Exsanguinates, there's a very small chance that you can win, but not having punish. It's just not having punish, and here's the thing. You might think that not having punish is just a complete misplay and you can't ever do it, but you can get away with not having punish. It's possible. But if you want to play without having punish, you really need to keep the other characters alive, and David had the tools here to keep the other characters alive. He had the guard and he had the regen. You just need to keep one of them alive, not try to focus on saving both, just keep one of them alive. Oh, he hits himself to this door, which means that he dies from dropping to this door here. So, but yeah, now he only has a flagellant and he cannot win this match, but you know, not all is lost, right? This is a matchup that Tongue should by all accounts win, considering that this is his turf, right? This is Tongue's turf. He is the guy that plays these teams. So David will now surrender and we will go to a match number 3. Alright, and here we go, straight into a match number 3. Oh shit. My bad, sorry David. now we know. Oh shit, now he knows that I'm commentating. Fuck. Oh, that's gonna add so much pressure on him, I'm sorry David. Okay. Well, now he knows, but he's playing against Tongue, and he's playing Sonic Prot into Tongue's own team, which is it's this odd Abomination Crusader stress team that brings a Man-at-Arms and an Arbalest. I've seen this before. I saw a guy called Kingsworth play this. He got to 3rd place, and then just disappeared off of the face of the earth. Didn't say goodbye. He had to play his match, but never showed up, and that's just how it was. Yeah, both players have been, I believe, Bulwark, Bolster. So they're both settling in for the long run. They're both going in for the long haul, and honestly, this looks a tiny bit better for Daewid, or rather a fair bit better for Daewid than it looks for Tongue, because that Arbalest is good support against damage teams, but she's not that good against stress teams. And oh, but that Flashlight doesn't look too good. Why does he have a Flashlight with Snuff? And oh wow, interesting move. He wants to immediately bile, but why didn't he transform and move back? So he would at least get the Horror through. I guess he doesn't want to stress those characters out and give the Crusader a reason to use the Inspiring Cry this early, but I don't know, I still feel like it's odd. He could have transformed first, but there's going to be a Beast Pile onto the Abomination here, actually, because you don't even have to Beast Pile that Arbalest. She's not the danger, really. The Abomination is the much bigger danger in a situation like this with his Beast Pile and all that. But even then this Abomination with his Beast Pile, he's not that dangerous. I guess the Arbalest can get lucky and hit for 10 into 64. 8 dodge and 10 and 20 prot. You can still hit for 10 on that, so I guess with a Snuff. So Daewid ends up just chopping her claim on there. Rather play it a bit safe than sorry, right? But yeah, that Abomination has suffered 1 Beast Pile, and there's no Flashlight on Tongue's side to try and counter it, and there's no Musketeer to counter it, and he can bile here, but he's hitting into a Flashlight, and he's hitting into a Man-at-Arms, which has the Rancid Cure-All. Gets the Blight this time around, but he might not get the Blight the next time around, and the next time around, and the next time around. There's always a chance that he fails it, because the Man-at-Arms has, David's Man-at-Arms does have the Rancid Cure-All, and he does have a very decent chance of just resisting it. It feels like Tongue expected Daewid to play damage teams 3 times in a row and failed all of them. Daewid just ignored the fact that his damage teams existed and has just been going for stress. And it seems to be relatively working so far. Goes for the command buff here, thinking that he needs the accuracy, and indeed he might need it. There's a decent amount of dodge on those characters, you know, all of them are above 10 at this point. And yeah, I mean, there's Snuff on that backline, there's a Man-at-Arms with Snuff and Tongue Incense, so Tongue was most definitely expecting yet another damage team. But once more, Daewid just breaks his ankles and goes for a stress team, but let's see if it works out a bit better than it did the previous match. So now his Flashlight is in a really weird spot, David's Flashlight, because normally with the team that he's bringing, which is a Sonic Prot, you bring Reign of Sorrows and you bring the Hemlock. And you just get a lot of pressure going through that, but he doesn't have any of that. He has a Punish, and he doesn't need to reclaim anyone, and his Punish here really sucks, because even if you hit that Abomination and bleed, if you hit the Crusader you do nothing, right? And if you hit the Abomination and bleed him, you get hit with a Repulse, which will eventually hurt you, right? Will eventually hurt you, and the Arbalest just heals whatever you do, so really it's just a bit weird of a situation here for Daewid. But what I think he wants to do is just file the hell out of this Abomination in spite of the riposte, trying to hurt him back, because it won't really hurt. I mean, the Grave Hopper's going to take a bit of stress. If a transformation ever comes down, which would be the actual stress dealer, the Crusader just goes for an Inspiring Cry and says, whatever bro, I don't care. So yeah, he's going to go Zealous into that. There will be a riposte, but the pressure is being spread around a fair bit, and it doesn't really matter too much for Daewid because he's not taking stress on any of his characters basically. And the bomb and the flagellant dropping to their sword means that he will be able to just go for one of his heals, and dropping to their sword means that all the other characters are just going to be healed up completely, and then it's going to be very difficult for them to continue taking damage. So that man-at-arms is already having to go for the guards, and there is an argument that instead of focusing the abomination, you should have been going all in on the man-at-arms from the get-go, because, well, he's the only one that can guard, and if you pressure him, eventually he will crumble, even with that Crusader having his, having his Rally to the Flame, and the Arbals having her heals, because there would be no stress heals and no DOT cure against the Panic Dart, so that could have been, that could have been the move there, definitely. And that Crusader does not have Inspiring Cry, for some reason. He has the Holy Lance instead, probably once more expecting a damage team to get some disruption off on him, despite the fact that he has move resistance, and despite the fact that both backliners have Snuff. So yeah, it's Tongue's really inflexible playstyle where he just goes for the counter pick. It has been working out very well for him in the losers bracket, I might add, but it might not do him any favors this match. So the Flagellant isn't dropping their store just yet, but I believe it could be in David's best interest to go for a punish and then just get a nice heal off with the Crusader if they dare to bring that Flagellant down to 0. If they don't, then it's okay, because he just drops close to their store, and then he'll eventually drop their store. He'll just go for a big heal, and now he gets pressure off anyway, because he just exists. So yeah, now he's thinking of going for Toxin Trickery, just to get rid of squeezing the rat, and just to get rid of that DOT, make sure that the Grave Robber goes up to full HP, give her a bit of dodge, which will be helpful throughout the entirety of the match, and honestly a perfectly fine move to go for that at this point, because there was some DOT on there, and while the Crusader's a good target. Yeah, Crusader's not that good of a target, but the Man-at-Arms is a good target, the Arbals is a good target, Crusader is an okay target. He just decides to go for that, and it's a perfectly fine move as well, because this match will be going along once more. So applies the Blight onto that Man-at-Arms once more. So now he will have to either heal the Crusader, heal the Flagellant with the Crusader before the Flagellant drops to Death Storm, meaning there will be no healing, or he would drop the Death Storm, move forward with the Flagellant, and then heal the Crusader. But that wouldn't be too good of a move, because the Crusader would then get hit by the following Beast Vial, so it wouldn't really be that handy just to get one cheap heal out of it. You'd be using 2 turns on that, when you could instead be going for a Zealous here, applying a lot of stress, which Tongue cannot deal with, and just going from there. So this theme that Tongue has, indeed, it came from the Kingsworth guy. I'm not sure if they came up with it independently. Probably, but oh, there's a chance that misses. Actually, no, there's no chance it misses, because he's guarded by the Man-at-Arms, and with the -4 dodge that he has, because of the numbing instance, it's a guaranteed hit chance. If he gets lucky with a bleed, that's also an Arbalist turn that's gonna have to be wasted on it. And indeed, he does get a bit lucky with the bleed, so the Arbalist will most likely have to drop a heal on there just to make sure that Man-at-Arms doesn't just drop to their store in a few rounds from that damage going through. So yeah, the Flagellant is still has 4 of his heals, so he's still perfectly fine in a situation like this. I feel like he could have saved the heal, not going for the Zealous, but you know, his Zealous is fine in this situation too. It's gonna cause stress, it's gonna be great, and that seems to be David's game plan here, just cause a lot of stress, and it doesn't really matter if his Flagellant uses up some of his heals, as long as he manages to kill the enemy team in the meantime as well. So Tongue using his entire bar to think, and so on. I do believe yesterday he passed once because of taking that much time, while his opponent was playing quite quickly. Yes, I believe it was Tongue then as well. So we will see how this goes. There will be an affliction already, and what affliction is it? It is a masochistic, which isn't too terrible for Tongue, but it's also, well, it's almost the best you could have gotten, honestly, because there's a chance that he moves forward, meaning that he will have to move back again to actually go for that Beast Vial, but at the same time, the masochistic, it might cause a bit of stress, but it's never going to pass, it's never going to go for random action, it's not really that bad of a thing to get. He might say no to a couple of heals, but considering the fact that he's guarded, it should be one of the best things he could have gotten. And if he does end up moving forward, he might just transform and go for a Rage instead to make better use of his turns, but we'll see in the meantime what he actually wants to go for. So now David's Grave Robber can continue going to work on bringing those chunky boys down, because this is a very chunky team that Tongue has here. You can continue going to work doing that, either on the Crusader, getting him closer to the Affliction, but potentially also the Virtue. Oh no, there's no Inspiring Cry, so there's never a Virtue. Right, so he is a perfectly fine target in a situation like this, just as everyone else is. It just feels like Tongue's team is way too directed towards just damage. It looks like he's planning on doing a lot of damage here, because he does go for the flare to get rid of those melee debuffs, which I don't think David minds like one bit. Honestly, I don't think he minds them one bit. Does almost enough stress to inflict that Crusader, but not quite. And there will be a Zealous coming down here, which will most likely do enough damage to make it so the Flagellant has to go for his heal again. So that Zealous crit is quite big. And yeah, the Flagellant is exhausting his healing. And he most likely has to go for the heal here, because if he dies at this point, like, this looks very good for David, right? But if his Flagellant dies prematurely, it's not good at all. It's not good whatsoever. So he can't let his Flagellant die prematurely. He has to use all his 5 heals, he has to use them well, and he can't be going for the silliness in some of his decisions. The Arbalest also decided not to use her heal, which is a bit odd. Now she'll definitely use it, most definitely. But she decided to not use her heal to save the men-at-arms, kind of thinking that, well, you know, she probably doesn't need it. He won't really take more pressure than that, so she doesn't need to go for the heal just yet. But this Flagellant, he's already used 2 Exsanguinates. He's at minus 100% healing skills at the moment. You're at the point where you might want to consider guarding him. You might want to consider going for Rally to the Flames instead, and stuff of the likes. But that Crusader at 99 stress, you really want to bellow that Crusader to at least get him afflicted. You absolutely do. And I believe that's what David is going to do here. I mean, he's fine just dropping a Reclaim or 2. He'll heal up to 6 HP. Or 9 HP? No, 6 HP with the minus 100% healing skills. He won't really mind it all that much. He can just drop heal after heal. And use the Crusader to heal whenever that isn't sufficient. 85 hit chance. He does get it, thankfully, for himself. So manages to get that. What Affliction does the Crusader get? This could be massive. He goes Fearful. That's really bad for a Crusader. That means that his damage is neutered, and that means that he's going to pass every now and then. It's just really quite bad. The Men-at-Arms goes to being fine again. There could be an immediate Panic Darts just to make him continue to drop to Death's Door, and I believe that is the move that David is going to go for. Could also go for the Arbalest here, but I think at this point you can pressure the entire team. But I feel like with the Grave Robber, you kind of want to just kill someone, right? You kind of just want to kill someone. Make sure your opponent doesn't have all their actions left, and basically force that Man-at-Arms to be continuously guarding just to save the A-bomb. He doesn't have to do it anymore, but he ends up going for it anyway. The prod could be handy, I suppose, and if he uses a command buff, then that A-bomb will do a lot of damage too as well. So a Zealous might be coming down here, or it could be a heal. A heal would save that Flagellant from dropping to 0, so it would force the Abomination to use his transformation mode to actually do some damage, but a Zealous will come down instead. A Zealous with really not much accuracy, but it gets rewarded with a crit, so it works out very well for David here. That the Zealous does that. It goes for a stun the Crusader, which I have to say is like too passive of a move to go for. A bit too passive of a move. Sadly, David doesn't get to go first, so his Flagellant drops to Death's Door here, and he kind of has to go for a heal. He can try risking it for sure. Wait for the better heal, but I think that would be a misplay at this point. He doesn't really have to do that, and he still has 3 of his heals. He might go for an Exsanguinate, but at this point he would miss, or he could miss on that Man-at-Arms. His command buff has run out. He could go for a heal onto the Crusader, or he could go for a heal onto the Man-at-Arms. Decides on the Crusader. Heals him for 7, heals himself for 6, which really isn't much. I think Tongue is immediately planning on going for the Zealous to do 6 damage, but it will not do 6 damage. Between Fearful Battle Duos and 30 prot, there is no world in which it does 6 damage. Even with a crit, it won't do 6. That must have been the max roll. Had to. Actually, it did 2 to the Crusader, so maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe there's only 1 Battle Duo on there. Maybe it could have worked. Maybe it could have worked. But if there is I think the reason that the stun went down is so Daewid doesn't have his heal available here, because now there will be a chance for Tongue to get the kill. And the way there will be a chance is because if he goes for a sniper shot onto that flagellant, he will drop to 0, and the man-at-arms can guard, but there will just be a transform slam to deal with that guard. And if he guards prematurely, there will be a transform slam into a sniper shot, and there will be another redeem. So I have to feel like this line of play will not end up being too good, but he will have a 20%. He will have a 20%. If he gets a 20%, he can actually win the match. It looks very dire at the moment, but he can actually win the match if he gets a 20%. If he doesn't get it, then the flagellant drops another heal, and after the flagellant drops another heal, he still has another 2 left, I think. So, it's not ideal. Yeah, no, it's not ideal, but we'll see what Daewid wants to go for. I believe he would want to go for a pass on the Crusader and then a command buff, so his flagellant has the necessary accuracy to go for the command, or rather to go for the exsanguinate. He doesn't want to use the man-at-arms turn before the Crusader turn, so he doesn't waste a turn of command buff. That's not good play. You don't want to waste one of those turns, obviously. And yeah, now Tongue will have a 20% chance of getting the death blow. The Bile might not do enough damage, but it probably will, but it might not. Probably will though. So the man-at-arms is dropping to their store the very next turn because of the panic darts. Yeah, the Daewid's man-at-arms still has to turn himself. He can go for another bellow here, kind of just pray that the Bile doesn't do enough damage, basically. Or he can go for the command buff now and have the exsanguinate available. And I mean, there won't be a stun, or at least it's extremely unlikely that a stun happens, because there is a snuff and a death store buff on that flagellant. But it's a 20% chance of getting the kill. The question is, does Tongue get it? This would signal the beginning of a potential fantastic comeback, because the situation has looked dire all up until this point. But if he gets this 20%, it will be really, really bad for Daewid, because his main healer is gone, his other healer is almost afflicted, and the man-at-arms has taken some damage. Goes for the manacles, does not get the kill, but gets the crit, but there is no stun once more. That exotic snuff pulls through. Having the exotic snuff here can go for the exsanguinate now and most likely hit, but you have to hit into the man-at-arms, which you don't really want to do, honestly. You don't really want to do. Because if you go into the Crusader, you can miss because he has gone fearful. The man-at-arms has a lot of dodge himself, so I think the best move here might be to go for the redeem onto your own man-at-arms, but Daewid decides against it. And now, even if his flagellant is brought down to 0 again, he will have the... fails the bleed, by the way. I don't think it makes a difference, because Jarbles would have cleared it anyway. And if Jarbles hadn't cleared, he would drop to this store anyway, so getting the bleed doesn't really matter at that point in time. But does 6 damage come through? No. But now, even if the flagell drops to this store, the Crusader still has his heal available. He has gone selfish, which might mean a pass or a random action. But the Crusader has his heal available. Even if the flagellant drops to 0, he'll heal everyone else. Maybe get a triple crit like the previous match, and that would be quite nice too. But at this point, it's starting to become really, really late for Tongue to actually pull this back, because his 3 frontliners are getting really stressed out. They're getting really low on HP, and reinforcements are not arriving. There's no flagellant that's about to die and get 3 triple crit 20s. There's no antiquarian with rejuvenating vapors to just heal everyone up to full. There's no musketeer to heal up a lot of stress. It's just an Arbalest. It's just an Arbalest. She flares and she heals you for 10 and cures your bleeds, which is good. Naturally, it's very good, but it's so close. But it's not really enough to save you at this point. Oh, the heal! I mean, it hits for 2, but there's 2 crit heals, I believe, from that flagellant. So 2 crit heals from this freaking flagellant. He can move back. He can move back with the Crusader, and honestly, I think going for the Crusader turn, maybe the Selfish moves him back, so he can still go for Zealous would be massive, but he decides against it! Oh, I'm not sure that's the move. I'm not sure that's the move. Letting the Crusader die here could be very unnecessarily risky. There might be a death blow now. It's a 35. Does it happen? It does not. There's no justice in this world. The Crusader can still go for a heal, but will he? He will make sure that the flagellant will no longer be dazed, and he won't be at minus 1% healing skills, and he can just go for a punish freely and potentially just kill that Man-at-Arms right then on the spot. As Zealous would have been really big here, especially considering the command buff. Would have been double Zealous on characters that are at this store. So I think Daewid is getting a bit ahead of himself. He's really looking at the win on his eyes, and he really wants to drop those panic darts to just get the maximum amount of pressure going. And look at the amount of people watching this too. There's Resolution J, there's Silek, there's Toscalis, there's Biter, which played against Tongue yesterday, and there's Not a Spoon, which I believe played against Tongue as well? Or Biter? Or Daewid? I don't know, but Not a Spoon has played too. But yeah, the Flagellant now doesn't even drop to this store, and he can go for a punish. Oh, that Man-at-Arms is no longer guarding, so he might go for a punish on someone else. Can't drop that Crusader down to 0. Gets a crit on it! It's not enough to kill him, but it is close. It is damn close. And now the Flagellant has his healing up again. He still has 1 redeem left, I believe. Or maybe 2. Or is it just 1? No, there's no way he still has 2 redeems left. But, you know, he still has his heals and he still has the Crusader to heal. So it's just honestly a team that is very well built. That's what I have to say. Silek Prot is just very well built. And it's going to be very, very difficult. It would be very, very difficult for Tongue to win this. But at this point, it looks impossible. Because his Crusader is practically dead. His Man-at-Arms is practically dead. His Abomination, it will die soon. Oh, and there's a pass on there. A Bellow will be enough stress to kill him too. So there will most likely just be a Bellow here or something of the likes. And then the Panic Darts will be coming, and obviously that Arbalest can't win the match at the end against Grave Robber. Grave Robber just completely outmatches the Arbalest at that sort of situation. And that's considering that Daewid's characters die, which they do not want to die, it feels. They really do not want to die. They've just been holding on to dear life so far, and they might continue to do so. So the punish comes through, gets the death blow, doesn't even need a heart attack, and there will be bleed on that corpse too. A fair amount of bleed. I'm not sure how much DOT there is in terms of blight, but lots of bleed. Does it do 2 damage? It does. There's no crit heals this time, but there's still very nice, very juicy heals. 6, 6, and a 4, I believe. And now this Flagellant can get healed, or he can get guarded. Or both, guarded and healed. But it's most likely going to be the Crusader turn. It's not. I mean, you will have to heal anyway. You will have to heal anyway, because that Abomination still has all of his transformations available. So we might be seeing that happen soon. So the Arbalest is going to be pushed forward because the Man-at-Arms is scared. He's running away already, which fair enough in a situation like this where the enemy just can't seem to freaking die no matter how much you throw at him. It seems reasonable. There will be a Panic Darts going through. The Man-at-Arms is almost gone as well. The Arbalest is just going to be left for last in a situation like this. She really is. And the Crusader might be going for a Zealous rather than a heal at this point, but we'll see what he wants to do. He is selfish, so he can choose to do his own thing. He definitely can. But we'll see what he wants. Now this Arbalest is just going to heal the Man-at-Arms, and it buys him a lot of time. I was going to say it's going to buy him a bit of time, but no, it buys him a lot of time, actually, because getting a crit on there means a strength seal, means a lot of HP, so it's gonna make the Grave Robber have to work that bit harder to get that Man-at-Arms out of the match already. So yeah, the Abomination can still go for his transforms, but I mean, they've just tried exhausting the Flagellant. This is something I mentioned, I believe, in the first or in the second matches. The idea of exhausting the Flagellant is when you can't do anything else, right? Because what else could Tongue do in this matchup? He's never gonna be able to focus on the Grave Robber, because this isn't a proper damage team. This is a stress team, a very weird stress team. He's never going to be able to kill the Crusader because he just has way too much prot. He's never going to be able to kill the Man-at-Arms, so he has to go for the Flagellant. But I mean, he just heals himself again and again and again and again while your entire team dies. Do those Panic Darts, and sure, the Flagellant is almost exhausted, but at what cost? Right, at what cost? Your entire team is dead. And what else could Tongue do here is the question, because he didn't really commit any misplays. The only misplay he committed was picking this team. It feels like it. It feels like it at this point, which is an interesting team. It probably counters damage teams quite well, considering that it has this Arbalest, considering that there's a Man-at-Arms with 2 stun resistance trinkets, considering that the Abomination, considering that there's that Crusader, considering the Abomination is just going to transform and cause a lot of hurt, and that he's in 1 as well, so he doesn't really he doesn't really care about arbalists. You won't get shot by them. You know, it feels like that, but we'll see. We'll probably not see this team in action again, because I believe Tongue is the only one to bring it, and if he loses this match, it is going to be it for him in the tournament. Does he apply the Blight? He does apply the Blight, so the Flagellant is once more dropping to 0 HP here. He still has his heals available, and a big redeem here basically nullifies almost all of what Tongue has done throughout the match. Oh, moves back with that. There will still be a potential for Zealous or something of the likes. Or rather, a potential for a transform slam, so the Flagellant isn't just yet safe. Gets a crit on the corpse, doesn't clear the corpse immediately, meaning there won't be, well, there would never be an Exsanguinate anyway, but it's most likely going to be a redeem at this point, because a transform slam is a 50-50 of killing now. And yes, the Man-at-Arms HP is back to full, the Flagellant's HP is almost back to full, the corpse goes away so the Abomination can't bile. The Arbalist is in position 2 where she really doesn't want to be, and oh, it's just a disaster. It's just a disaster for Tongue. I don't think there was any universe where he could have won this match. Maybe if he got to 20%, it would have worked out better for him. But now he breaks the guard, doesn't get the push because there is still that snuff there available, and this is really when he's just doing his, just pulling through with his last. Like He's all out now. He's using his final strengths to try and get something to happen. He's finally using his transformations. He's gonna do stress. He's gonna pray that the afflictions get something done for him, because Tongue really is on his last legs here. There will be a Zealous coming down. There's no pass. There are dodges though, because there's a lot of freaking dodge on Tongue's side, and the Arbalist goes Fearful too, so that's 2 Fearfuls and a Masochistic, I believe. Yeah, 2 Fearfuls and a Masochistic, so the backliners have a lot of dodge, while the Abomination just wants to get into it. He wants to scrap, and he wants to get hit more than he hits in that scrap at this point. So yeah, the Arbalist causing a bit of stress. She's gonna go for the pull. Very unlikely to get the push, just considering there's Snuff and the Glorious Standard, but she does get the push. Honestly, Daewid doesn't really care about it. At this point, what he can do, and what he should be doing, is just stabilizing. Just making sure Tongue abandons all hope. And considering this is a tournament match, I wouldn't blame him for it at all. I think he should just be going for Crusader heals, like stress heals, and making sure no afflictions happen, clearing that Horror with his Inspiring Cries rather than going for the Bellows. Just making sure that he does not lose this ever, regardless of how much RNG might be involved. If the Man-at-Arms clicks now, he will die, but there is the Abomination Act out just to barely save him there. Yeah, just to barely save him in this situation. So there will most likely be a punish here for the kill. Does not get the kill, but that gets the crit. That's a lot of stress too. There can be a heal here, but it's just so much. It's so much pressure. It is so much pressure that is going onto Tongue's side. He's gonna go for the rage, the mad rage, the 7 damage. Oh god, how many heals does this Flagellant still have? I'd actually quite like to know. Yeah, but wouldn't you like to know? It feels to be one of those situations. I believe well, a Bellow here could do 9. He would have to do some math to guarantee that it does 9. But yeah, it should do 9. It seems he's not going to be going for it though. He goes for the Magdars for the kill. A bit overkill, but you know, as they say, there's no kill like overkill. And the Men-at-Arms might just be looking for a move back into a Zealous or something of the likes. There's going to be a heal on the Abomination just to save him. Tongue really is trying to pull something. He's trying to do whatever he can here to just save himself, but it feels too little too late here. Maybe if he had gone very aggressive right from the beginning with the transforms and all that, he could have done better. Maybe. And I think at this point, it is a bit too late to think about that. Just a bit too late. The Flagellant will not even drop to this store here. The Crusader doesn't have an act out. I'm not sure what actions, or what healing actions the Flagellant still has. He's dry. Tongue has dried them out. There's no more Exsanguinates, there's no more No more redeems, gets the punish on there, so now if the abomination clicks, he is a goner. There might just be a move back, or there might be a command buff, definitely not a battle, just forcing Arbos to go for a turn, force her to go for a heal, and after that, you know, the abomination is still gonna have a heart attack, and there's just going to be more pressure, so it feels like the match is over at this point. It feels like the match has been over for a few rounds. Basically, after that Crusader died, or basically after he didn't get the 20% death blow onto David's flashlight, it has felt a bit over. Clicks the abomination here, accepting his own demise. He marks himself just before he goes. Good job, abomination. And now the Arbos will most likely be a goner to both the panic darts and all that will follow. And David will be moving forward, cutting Tongue's reign of terror in the loser's bracket short, and he made it very far. This is his very first tournament playing in the Butcher Circus. He was quite stressed out, he was quite anxious as he began playing it, but he played very well from the beginning to the end. It's just the teams, he could have picked something that did a bit better than this, but you know, he picked what made him tick, and unfortunately this is going to be where his journey ends. He's not gonna go down with the white flag. He wants David to to bring him down, and I will watch it all the way to the end. But at this point, it's completely over. David would have to purposefully throw the match to. I mean, how many throwing moves would you have to do to still lose? Yeah, that's the question. Like, this reclaim is completely unnecessary. He doesn't have to do that. He just punishes the corpses and whatnot. But the Crusader is gonna go for the heal. Oh, he heals their own character. Tongue might get a kill. Tongue might actually get a kill on that flash on that last. It would be really sad if he goes for it and doesn't get it. You know, it would be really sad if he goes for that manacles and doesn't, or rather, and goes for that bullet and does not get the kill on the flash one. But it goes through. We don't see it, meaning that he probably saw it on his screen first and it wasn't a kill. So David will take the W and he will be moving forward in the tournament. Big GG's to both players. Quite an exciting set of matches, and that's going to be all she wrote for Tongue. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers.